Hi everyone, this week we are going to be solving equations. Okay, so you already have prior knowledge in this and you did these in your mocks, okay, so it might just take a little bit of refreshing your memory. So the major thing that you all definitely know how to do, or should know how to do, is the first part of solving an equation is to factorize. So you can see here, I've wrote, in order to solve an equation, you must factorize. Okay, so I've got three examples here. So we've got our difference two squares factorizing, our double bracket, trinomials, and our highest common factor. So you'll notice here the difference between our other factorizing is this is equals 0, equals 0, equals 0. So once you have a factorized, you let your answers equal to 0 and then solve for x. So when solving equations, your last line should always be x equals whatever number you have. Okay, so we're going to be factorizing and solving. So let's look at a few examples. So we've got 4 plus 25x squared. So we've got two terms. Now you've got two terms. It's either difference two squares or highest common factor. So how do you decide which one it is? So you must look at the numbers and firstly decide, are they square numbers? 4 and 25. They're square. So we can do difference of two squares. So difference of two squares, you open up two brackets. Remember, everything equals 0 here. So 4 square root of 4 is 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. Square root of 25. 5x and 5x will multiply to give us 25x squared. And then we put a plus in one, a minus in the other. And that's our difference of two squares factorizing. 2 times 2 is 4, 5 times 5 is 25x squared, the x's. Now, equals 0. So what you do now is you take each bracket and you say 2 plus 5x equals 0, or 2 minus 5x equals 0. So then get the x by itself. So you're going to bring the 2 over. So 5x equals minus 2. Or here we've got minus 5x equals minus 2. Okay, so I brought the plus 2 over, brought the plus 2 over. Now 5x minus 5x. We want the x by itself. So it's been multiplied by 5 here, so we must divide down. So we're going to say x equals minus 2 over 5. So x can be minus 2 over 5. Or another answer, x equals minus 2 over minus 5. Now, minus and the minus gives us a plus. So we've got x equals 2 over 5. So it can be x equals minus 2 over 5 or x equals 2 over 5. And that's our two possible answers. Okay, so factorize and then let each of your answers equal 0, and then your very last line, like I said up here, must be x equals, and you'll get two answers. Okay, so now on to our trinomials. So we've got x squared minus 5x minus 14 equals 0. So again, open up your double brackets. So x squared, so x times x gives us x squared. Then we go to our constant. So we want to write down factors of minus 14. So we've got minus 7 times 2, minus 2 times 7, minus 14 times 1, minus 1 times 14. Okay, so there's my possible factors of minus 14. So now from these four pairs listed, we must decide which one of them adds together to give us minus 5. So see, minus 7 plus 2 gives us minus 5. Okay, so that was quick. That's the first one. So we've got minus 7 plus 2. Okay, so that's the factorizing part done. So now we need to solve. So again, just like the first example, let each bracket equal 0. So we've got x minus 7 equals 0, or x plus 2 equals 0. Isolate the x. You want to get x by itself. So moves that 7 over, it's a minus 7, moves over, turns into a plus 7. Or x plus 2 equals 0, positive 2, move it over, x equals minus 2. And there's our two possible answers. We factorised, we solved. Our last line is x equals 7 or x equals minus 2. Last example, highest common factor. So again, highest common factor, you're only going to have two terms. You must decide if it's highest common factor or difference of two squares. So let's check. 4 is a square number, but 12 isn't. So it means we have to do highest common factor. So we have to think of what's the biggest number that divides into 4 and 12. The answer is 4. And then have any letters in common? X squared and x divided by x. So you take out the highest common factor is 4x. So now remember, this must multiply back out to give you this. So 4x times what will give us 4x squared? X. Plus 4x multiplied by what will give me 12x. 4 times 3 will give me 12x. Equals 0. So that's the factorised bit done. So now splitting up and letting our answers equal 0. So we've got 4x equals 0. Or bracket x plus 3 equals 0. So here we want x by itself. It's being multiplied by 4, so we must divide down. So it equals 0 over 4. Put that in the calculator, you'll get 0. So x can be 0. Or x plus 3 equals 0. Get the x by itself, move the positive 3 over, becomes negative 3. So for this answer, x can be 0 or x can be negative 3. So that's how you solve quadratic equations. So your first step is to factorise. So you can see here we factorised, factorised, factorised. Your next step, let your answers equal to 0 and solve for x. So we let them equal 0 here, we let them equal 0 here and here. And then the last bit is your very last line should be x equals, so x by itself. As you can see, we've done here. That's how you know you're finished. Okay, so I hope this video helps. Watch it a few times, pause it. I've given you notes as well on these questions for you to follow. So try your best and email me if you get stuck and I'll try to help you out.